Welcome to episode 34 of the 5-Minute Mysteries podcast. Just a quick heads up before we get into the episode. This show is getting a new name. We're rebranding as Compact Mysteries, part of the new Compact Histories network. You can find us at compactmysteries.com. You don't need to do anything as the episodes will continue within the same feed. Just look out for the new branding and links to the new website. Right, with that being said, let's get on with episode 34. The Mystery of Anastasia Romanov. In the world of royal mysteries, few stories have captured the imagination quite like that of Anastasia Romanov. For much of the 20th century, rumours swirled that the youngest daughter of Russia's last tsar had somehow survived the brutal execution that claimed the rest of her family. It is a mystery that lived on in newspapers, courtrooms, and even Hollywood, and although science eventually solved it, the legend still lingers in popular culture. Let's start with the basics. Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanov was born in 1901, the fourth daughter of Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra. Her parents were hoping for a boy, someone to secure the Romanov dynasty. That pressure didn't let up until 1904, when her younger brother Alexei was finally born. But Anastasia wasn't overlooked. Far from it. She was energetic, sharp-witted, and known for her playful, sometimes mischievous personality. Her family adored her, and she was a favourite among palace staff for her sense of humour. But behind the gilded palace walls, trouble was brewing. By the time Anastasia was a teenager, Russia was spiralling into chaos. World War I had devastated the country, the economy was collapsing, political unrest was boiling over, and the people had grown tired of the Tsar's poor leadership and the lavish lifestyle of the royal family. In early 1917, revolution broke out. Nicholas II was forced to abdicate, ending more than 300 years of Romanov rule. The family was placed under house arrest. First, they were held in the Alexander Palace, then moved east to Tobolsk, and finally to a house in Yekaterinburg. Their freedoms disappeared one by one. Letters were censored, meals were rationed, and armed guards watched them day and night. Then came the night of July 16, 1918. The Romanovs, Nicholas, Alexandra, their 5 children and a handful of loyal attendants, were woken up in the middle of the night and told to get dressed. They were being moved, supposedly for their safety. Instead, they were led to a basement, lined up for a photograph, and shot by a Bolshevik firing squad. It was quick, it was brutal, and it was meant to send a message. But in the chaos that followed, not everything was so clear. The Soviet authorities didn't immediately confirm the family's deaths. In fact, for a time, they only announced that Nicholas had been executed. The uncertainty surrounding the rest of the family created a vacuum, and that vacuum was quickly filled with rumours. Had Anastasia survived? Had one of the daughters escaped the bullets, been rescued, or even spirited away by secret sympathisers? By the 1920s, stories were circulating across Europe and North America. Letters claimed Anastasia was alive. Newspapers published supposed sightings. And then came a woman who would take the legend to new heights. In 1920, a woman was found in a canal in Berlin after a suicide attempt. She refused to give her name and was placed in a mental hospital. For a long time, she barely spoke. But eventually, she began to say things, strange things, about palace life, about the Romanov family, and about a terrible night in a basement. She claimed she was Anastasia. Her name was Anna Anderson. Some dismissed her immediately. Others, including a few people who had known the Romanovs personally, were convinced. They said she looked like Anastasia, sounded like her, and remembered details no one else could have known. Supporters raised money for her legal battles. She spent decades trying to be recognized as the true Grand Duchess. But the Romanov family was divided. Most of them rejected her. Some were disgusted by the claim. A few, however, gave her quiet support. Anna Anderson's story dragged on for more than 60 years. She moved to the United States, married, and lived the rest of her life under the shadow of the mystery. When she died in 1984, the world still didn't know for sure. But science was catching up. In 1991, after the fall of the Soviet Union, a grave was discovered in the woods near Yekaterinburg. Inside were the remains of 9 people, believed to be the Romanovs and their servants. DNA testing was still in its early days, but it confirmed the identities of Nicholas, Alexandra, and 3 of their daughters. That left 2 bodies missing, one of the girls and young Alexei. This added fuel to the idea that maybe, just maybe, Anastasia had escaped. Then, in 2007, a second burial site was found. It contained the remains of a boy and a young woman, both badly damaged by fire and acid. More DNA testing followed, and this time it was conclusive. The entire Romanov family had been accounted for. No one escaped. As for Anna Anderson, preserved medical samples from earlier surgeries were tested. Her DNA was compared with that of living Romanov relatives. The result? No match. Instead, her DNA matched a Polish factory worker named Franziska Szankowska, who had disappeared years before Anderson surfaced in Berlin. The mystery, it seemed, was finally solved. But the legend of Anastasia Romanov didn't die with the discovery. It had become more than just a missing persons case. It was a story of survival, of hope against all odds, of identity, memory, and trauma. Books, plays, and films kept the myth alive. The most famous was the animated movie from 1997, which imagined Anastasia escaping the firing squad and living under a false identity, complete with a romantic ending and a happy reunion. The truth, as is so often the case, is far more tragic. Anastasia Romanov died in 1918, alongside her family, in a small basement room in Yekaterinburg. But the story of her supposed survival became one of the 20th century's most compelling myths, a legend built from grief, rumour, and the very human need to believe that sometimes someone makes it out. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Mysteries podcast from 5minutemysteries.com. If you did, why not leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you would like to support us more directly, please consider buying us a coffee. Head on over to 5minutemysteries.com/coffee to see how. Also, please check out our other 5-minute podcasts. You will find them all at 5minuteproductions.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.